Wrestling is full of moments that feel frozen in time. The crowd roars, the lights flash, the music hits, a hero rises, a villain falls, and for one perfect second, everything clicks. These are the clips that live forever in highlight reels and video packages, the matches we remember not just for what happened in the ring, but for how they made us feel. Body slam heard around the world, the underdog who finally won the big one, the emotional farewell with tears in the ring, and a standing ovation. But sometimes, the greatest moments in wrestling come with a price that the fans never see. I'm Senor Siete for 7 Wrestling. Let's take a look at 7 WWE matches with dark backstories. Now, before we get into that, we appreciate your support, so if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and rip-tide that notification bell. Also, we've got a second channel. Check out 7 Entertainment, all the snarky snark you love from 7 Wrestling, with a broader range of topics, TV, movies, music, etc., you name it. Head over there now to see me, your buddy Senor Siete, co-hosting a video about celebrities who have dated professional wrestlers. Number 1. Family Matters. At the 1999 Royal Rumble, the WWE delivered what was hyped as one of the most brutal matches in company history, the I Quit match between The Rock and Mankind. The story was simple but savage. The Rock, WWE's new shining star, would stop at nothing to break Mankind's spirit, and there was no possible way Foley was going to lose his title by saying the words I quit. Fans at the time were awestruck as Foley endured 11 unprotected chair shots to the head. The crowd's shock turned from cheers to gasps. This was pretty sick, but honestly, we'd seen a lot of sick things from Mick Foley over the years, so we just took it as part of the show. But everything changed when Beyond the Mat, the 1999 wrestling documentary, gave viewers an unfiltered look behind the curtain. The film captured Foley's raw moments, including his young children sitting at ringside, visibly upset and crying during the match's brutal spots. Suddenly, the match wasn't just a heroic battle, it was a father risking his health and terrifying his family for the sake of entertainment. In retrospect, the Rock vs. Mankind I Quit match is a watershed moment in wrestling history, a brutal spectacle that ignited a new awareness of wrestler safety, family impact, and the cost of putting on the show. What was once legendary became sobering, reminding fans that every chair shot has a real impact, and sometimes that impact is on the family of the performers. Number 2. Wyatt's Turmoil. On paper, Bray Wyatt's WWE title win at Elimination Chamber 2017 should have been the moment everything changed for him. After years of being booked like the creepiest guy to never win a big match, Bray finally captured the big gold in dominant fashion. He pinned John Cena and AJ Styles on the same night. That is wrestling royalty. That is a rocket push. That's vindication. But behind the scenes, Bray Wyatt's life was unraveling like one of his cryptic promos. Just as he was getting his biggest push, Bray was going through a brutal divorce. The tabloids got hold of it when his wife alleged he was having an affair with WWE announcer JoJo Offerman. Suddenly, the guy playing a spooky swamp cult leader was getting dragged into very real, very messy family drama in court. So, while Bray was cutting eerie promos about Sister Abigail and the end of days on SmackDown, he was also navigating custody battles, media leaks, and alimony headlines. The WWE didn't acknowledge it, of course, but you could practically feel the tension radiating off the screen. And as quickly as he got the title, the WWE yanked it away. At WrestleMania 33, he lost the belt to Randy Orton in a match that included projected bugs on the ring mat and a storyline so bad it made the fans long for the day of spooky children's choirs. Bray Wyatt's big break wasn't just short-lived, it was haunted by real-life heartbreak. Should have been the start of a dominant run. Instead, it became another what could have been chapter in one of the most creatively misunderstood careers in modern pro wrestling. Number 3. The Rock's Loss. At WrestleMania 20, The Rock made his grand return from Hollywood to team up with his longtime buddy Mick Foley against Evolution in a 2-on-3 handicap match. The crowd was thrilled. Finally, The Rock had come back to Madison Square Garden. The People's Champ was in full form, charismatic, ripped, hilarious. It felt like classic Attitude Energy being injected into a Ruthless Aggression show. But what fans didn't know, what wasn't on commentary or in the promo, is that Dwayne Johnson was grieving. Just days before WrestleMania, The Rock's grandmother, Leah Maivia, had passed away. She was more than just a family member, she was one of wrestling's earliest female promoters and a powerful figure in his life and legacy. Rock didn't go public with the news, didn't cancel the appearance, didn't miss a beat. He showed up, performed, cracked jokes with Ric Flair, took bumps, hit a people's elbow, and entertained like nothing had gone wrong. Only years later would The Rock reveal the personal pain that he was carrying that night. Puts the entire match in a whole new light, not just as a nostalgia moment or a send-off for Foley, but as a heartbreaking display of professionalism. The man whose entire career was built on bravado and loudmouth confidence was silently mourning in the world's most famous arena, in wrestling's biggest show. The Rock wasn't just working a match, he was working through a loss, and fans unknowingly watched one of wrestling's greatest performers deliver a WrestleMania moment with a broken heart just beneath his raised eyebrow. Number 4. Litas Farewell. In a just world, Lita's final match at Survivor Series 2006 would have been a celebration. One of the most influential women in WWE history, a legit trailblazer who broke the mold and took bumps like one of the boys, she deserved a better farewell. Instead, she got a send-off that felt more like a roast, and roasts are only fun when the person actually wants to be roasted. After losing her final match to Mickie James, Lita, playing a heel at the time, was subjected to a post-match segment so tasteless, it was a low point for an era of the WWE that was already known for being pretty juvenile. Enter Crime Time, who proceeded to auction off Lita's personal belongings, including her underwear, monostat, and a big box of feminine products to the fans in the front row. The crowd laughed, the segment was played for ha-has, but behind the scenes, Lita was not pleased. In the years that followed, Lita made it clear just how much she hated that so-called retirement tribute. Speaking on the WWE After the Bell show, she admitted, "I get asked so much, talk about your last match when Crime Time came out and stole your stuff from you. Try to put a positive spin, oh, it was funny, I'm a heel, and that's cool." We all know that's not how I felt. And no, this wasn't just a one-time comment. Lita's brought it up on multiple podcasts over the years, including with Chris Van Vliet saying it was one of those things that was so hard, and that she didn't want to publicly unpack it because of how painful it was. She even implied that she tried to get the segment toned down and went up the chain backstage, including all the way to Vince McMahon, but the decision stood. The worst part? Trish Stratus, her longtime peer and rival, had just gotten a beautiful send-off the month earlier. Lita, she got the equivalent of a locker room prank live on pay-per-view. Years later, fans and even some WWE talent would look back on that night with a wince. What should have been a standing ovation and a fitting goodbye instead became a reminder of just how poorly WWE treated its women's division for too long. And we get it, Lita was a heel, and heels get comeuppance, but for a woman who gave the company her neck, her body, and her heart for nearly a decade, she certainly deserved better. Number 5. Living on the Edge. Heading into WrestleMania 27, the WWE made it painfully clear that they had big plans for Alberto Del Rio. The man won the first and still only 40-man Royal Rumble. The setup was obvious. Del Rio was going to WrestleMania to claim his destiny, win the World Heavyweight title, and become the WWE's next big aristocratic supervillain. Only that didn't happen. Instead, Edge, world champion, grizzled veteran, beat Del Rio clean in the opener. It was a fun match, sure. Del Rio held his own, and the crowd had a good time when Edge and Christian trashed Del Rio's fancy car post-match, but behind the scenes, the real story was heartbreaking. Edge was quietly battling serious spinal stenosis, and the pain and numbness were getting worse. Just days later, doctors told him if he took another bump, he could die. So later, on Raw, Edge walked to the ring, relinquished the title, and gave a tearful, unscripted retirement speech. Suddenly, that WrestleMania win didn't feel like a feel-good title defense, felt like a goodbye we didn't realize we were witnessing. Del Rio didn't get his coronation, Edge didn't get a send-off match. The match that opened the show ended up closing a career, and while Edge would have a miraculous return 9 years later, this bout remains one of the quietly tragic moments in WrestleMania history, the moment when destiny gave way to reality. Number 6. Yada Yada Nada. Lena Yada's WWE journey feels like someone repeatedly knocking on the door of the big leagues, finally getting in, and then being told to just quietly stand in the corner. After claiming third place in the Diva search, Yada signed with the company in 2007 and made her on-screen debut as a backstage interviewer. She had a blink-and-you'll-miss-it stint on SmackDown before being moved to ECW, where she judged dance-offs, crowned herself the winner, which I respect, and briefly feuded with Kelly Kelly as a heel alongside Layla and Victoria. And just as it looked like she might make her in-ring debut, she returned to backstage interviewer purgatory. Lena Yada's WWE career is kind of like Moonlight Graham from Field of Dreams, the kindly doctor who made it all the way to the big leagues but never got to swing the bat. She was there, technically, on the roster, in gear, standing on the apron in a 16-woman tag team match on the November 3rd, 2008 episode of Monday Night Raw. But did she tag in? No. Did she land a single move? Not a chance. She was in the WWE, but never really in the WWE. It's like someone called her up from developmental, told her to put on her boots, and then said, actually, you just stay there and look pretty, while Natalya and Beth Phoenix sell for Mae Young. And quick aside, we talk about scary bumps all the time, talking about, Mick Foley and the Hell in the Cell, but ancient Mae Young losing her balance in this match is way scarier. Imagine if that was your Mimo on national TV. Sorry, back to Lena. One match, zero offense, a whole career reduced to, hey, wasn't she in that cluster tag that time? Sadly, she was released shortly afterwards. At least Moonlight got to save a kid from choking. Lena didn't even get a hot tag. Number 7, giant effort. When people remember WrestleMania 3, they remember the Slam, Hulk Hogan hoisting Andre the Giant in front of 93,000 fans, or however many it really was at the Pontiac Silverdome. It's one of the most replayed moments in wrestling history, a symbolic passing of the torch from the old era to the new. But what fans didn't see that night was how much pain Andre the Giant was truly in. By 1987, Andre's body was betraying him. Years of living with a condition that caused abnormal bone growth had taken a brutal toll. His back was wrecked, his joints were shot, he was barely able to walk, let alone wrestle. They would end up building the entire match around his limitations. Hogan has said in interviews that Andre could barely stand in the lead-up. According to Hogan, the finish, the iconic slam and leg drop, wasn't even confirmed until the day of the show. Everyone tiptoed around Andre's condition, hoping he'd make it to the ring and make it through the match. It took a lot of smoke and mirrors to make it happen. To help Andre during the bout, he wore a hidden back brace under his iconic black singlet. Walking the long ramp to the ring was almost impossible, so they used ring-shaped carts for transportation. And instead of making it obvious that the carts were for Andre, WWE had all the wrestlers use them, making them look more like a stylistic choice than a necessity. The match itself is slow, deliberate, and heavily protected. Andre barely bumps, mostly leans against the ropes, and does what he can with a blank, exhausted expression. Every step looks like it costs him something. Today we poke fun at the legendary body slam because of Hogan's need to exaggerate about it, but the truth is, when Hogan lifts him up, it's less of a wrestling maneuver and more of a miracle of coordination, seeing as Andre could barely feel his legs at the time. WrestleMania 3 was a farewell disguised as a coronation. Andre would continue to wrestle for a few more years, but never again as the invincible giant he once was. That night, the world saw a monster. What they didn't see was the man in agony beneath that armor. Well, there's our list. Did I leave out any other WWE matches with heartbreaking backstories? If so, please leave them in the comments section below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tornado DDT that notification bell. Be sure to check out our new Channel 7 Entertainment that's kicking off with a video that features celebrities who dated WWE superstars. Until next time, I'm Singer Siete for 7 Wrestling saying bye-bye.